Hey, good afternoon. It's Keith, Birmingham, Alabama area of the US of A. Today is Monday, September 9th. It is after 1300 hours Central Time. And I appreciate all of you who showed up today. We actually will have a speaker today, asked ahead of time, and I was prepared. My goodness. And I'd like to thank, got some new faces here, and we got some others that we don't see their faces, so that's okay. Before we get started, there's a couple of things. First of all, there's a big major event going on this Friday in Nashville, Tennessee for the EXP commercial crowd. That would be an event that Paul Zorich and myself have put together. It's our usual, what we call IRL, in real life, get together for a day. We have good speakers again. We will have some of our leaders within our company on staff there as well, speaking, and others. And it should be a good day. Come in a day before Thursday, book your rooms. We put out the flyers on that multiple times on several workplace pages, even in LinkedIn. If you have not signed up yet, please do, because we're needing that head count right away. So it's good for guests. I've invited three. I got somebody called me over the weekend. He's got 5 guests coming. And it is a great time for all of us who are at EXP Commercial, who may be operating out there all by ourselves a lot. We never see each other, to like stop by for a day and say, oh, wow, yes, I'm part of something much bigger than me. This is awesome. You start to feel like you're connected even more. And on top of that, I don't know a meeting that we've done over the last almost 4 years where you didn't walk away knowing somebody and possibly working on a deal, even if you were a speaker. It's just crazy. It's been an awesome time. Some of you here have been to one or two of the meetings, and I appreciate you. But like I say, it's going to be Friday the 13th, Nashville, Tennessee. We got Hurricane Francine coming. It's just going to be an awesome time. If you have any questions, you can ask me later. But let me tell you, we've got a major sponsor there called Superstructures, and you've seen Chuck on our meetings on like every week. He's here today. And I actually asked them to step up and speak today, not on the Nashville event, but I looked at my notes, Chuck, and I noticed I wrote down the words modular and commercial financing as well. When we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I think you were doing this on a Saturday. People were talking about a bunch of stuff, modular, and a bunch of stuff about financing, how the two go together. So if you want to add that to your list of quick things you wanted to shout out at us about, but if anybody's got questions of Chuck as he's speaking, interrupt them. No big deal. I've done that. You know that. You don't have to raise your hand. You can actually speak up. But if several people are speaking up, then we'll start raising our hands. Okay. Uh, Anybody got any questions right now? After Chuck speaks, and this is for the sake of the recording, and you know what? On my screen, it doesn't say it's being recorded. Do you guys see this being recorded, even though it's set as
Yes.
recording? That's crazy. There it is. There it is. It finally showed up over there. Okay. All right. So yeah, remember this goes out to another 148 people, and then it goes from there. So whatever you want us to know, make sure you get it on our recording today. So Chuck, I'll let you introduce yourself. Is Rick going to be here today by chance?
Rick is, as usual, traveling. So, no, he's probably not going to be
Okay.
on the call.
All right. Well, Chuck, you okay? You get started. Rock and roll. We'll give you till like bottom of the hour. If that's enough time for you, we'll interrupt you with questions or we'll ask them afterwards.
I got enough material to fill up 3 minutes.
3 minutes. All right. We're going to have to ask questions, everybody.
Good afternoon or morning, wherever you may be. My name is Chuck Allgaier with Superstructures. We are a general contractor. Now, just to kind of piggyback off of what Keith was talking about earlier with the IRLs, we are actually, Rick is getting his license in real estate, and I'm looking into getting mine as well. But that's kind of an aside. We came across EXP through another EXP agent, now broker, Michelle Pauley, and she connected us. And what it has brought to us, and I think what we bring to EXP, is a lot of communication, networking opportunities, identifying a lot of opportunities. And it was through Keith's IRL that really got the ball rolling for us. So for those of you that haven't yet jumped on or participated in an IRL, I highly recommend it. They're a lot of fun and educational, and you get to experience something you probably haven't experienced before. So that's my little plug for the IRLs. So if you have the opportunity, catch them. General contractor, our main focus is commercial and industrial. We don't do we do very little residential. We have an opportunity, and it actually came through. I won't go too much into it unless Keith wants to go further into it, but it actually came in association with networking with Keith, an opportunity in Alabama where we're actually going to be working with several developers down there and actually a town in helping them develop some of their affordable housing as well as some of their commercial sector. And so that's how another way that we have networked with EXP and Keith. The area of focus that we pretty much stick to in the commercial industrial is modular. Now, Keith and I were on I'm not sure if Keith was there, but on a board that was talking about modular financing and a few other things. And there seemed to be a perception, slowly things are changing, are turning. People are starting to understand that modular doesn't mean Quonset hut. For those of you that are older than, let's say 28, when you think of modular, you either think of a Quonset hut back in World War II where they used to keep the planes and things like that, or the shed where your grandfather kept his tractor, relatively small, kind of rickety. Modular has come a long way, but now we're starting to come across a new stereotype for modular. Everybody thinks it's the either Connex boxes that have been converted into I think is what they're called, these auxiliary housing units that are more kind of a residential thing or tiny homes. But modular is actually very useful in commercial industrial. We'll start off real quick with multifamily. Multifamily, depending on where you are, I'm learning is either commercial or some sort of residential. But overall, it seems to be on the focusing on affordable housing. Modular is a way to go. You can build a modular building out of those basic boxes. I think some of you have seen our presentation before. We show you where they actually build out an entire room or section of a structure, encapsulate it, ship it to the site, lift it into place, bolt it together, and you're good to go. But modular is also, we will talk about modular walls nowadays, where we actually build walls up to, I believe, 10 or 12 foot, but usually it's around 10-foot max. And instead of building boxes, we build an entire structure, and then we use the walls, modular walls that are built in a environmentally controlled facility that can match all the expectations of the developer, owner, whatever people or the individuals are looking for in their structures, and then everything is pre-built into the structure. So once again, the items are walls are literally shipped to site and can be bolted together, so you don't have to worry about the small or having cubed walls and having to adjust for those frames and everything like that. You can actually make large expansive spaces so that you can make commercial real estate plate, locate. You can't do full warehouses yet, but we're getting close to that. So that's one of the things I wanted to share with you. So a little bit, that's just background. If you do have clients that come to you asking about developing a property, if you're dealing with property or maybe even TIing, building onto one of your clients' properties, how can they expand it? How can they do it relatively inexpensively with the highest quality? One of the questions that does come up, especially with modular, is, is it as good as conventional construction? Generally, these days, it is exceeding the requirements for conventional construction. Once again, a lot of these modular units are they're built completely in the virtual world. So start to finish, there's no real on-site, kind of as-built piece to it. It could be completely built in the uh, computer net, whatever it is, and there's no question as to what your materials are going to be, your total cost, expenditures, and time frame. Then all those things, once they're actually finalized, are built in environmentally controlled to your specifications or your client specifications, shipped to site and built, and they will withstand based on what the requirements are of the locale, earthquakes, hurricanes. Uh, they stand up really well to fires generally, have fire suppression built into them or around them. Let's see what other things are out there that cause issue with buildings. Pretty much anything you can think of that we have to be able to put up with, modular can actually withstand and exceed. Also, there is a lot of modular manufacturers throughout the world. So if you have clients that are overseas, I know that EXP has a worldwide reach from Dubai to Japan to South America. There's also facilities close to those areas, so costs are actually lower. The cost for building modular, even if you have to ship it, the modular pieces, as opposed to conventional, you can still come in under the cost of building conventional within that location. Let's see, modular.
Hey, Chuck, the one
Yes,
thing
sir.
I picked up on real quick was it's built in a closed, controlled environment. So right there, that lowers your cost, does it not, on labor and delays?
Yes, and since most of the forms are already pre-designed to your, to the specifications, almost like a jig, for lack of a better term, it's easily repeatable. And so you don't have a lot of kind of making it up on the fly. Like I said, the term as built, when people get, you're actually building a conventional construction, and BIM modeling has been to prevent a lot of those issues called collisions, where you can see in the computer things are going to run into each other. But traditionally, you build on site and realize something is out of whack. And so there's cost associated with those fixes. There's cost associated with the weather changing. When you were trying to, let's say, pour concrete, well, concrete's still the same, that's different. Rain on your wood, insulation, and things like that. You have to wait for stuff to dry out before you get it enclosed. With modular, you don't have those problems. Now, modular is not the perfect panacea for everything. You're not going to be moving these big panels in a hurricane, since we were talking about hurricanes earlier. So there are some challenges, but overall, because they are built within a factory setting where they can control the environment for the most part, and they have standard processes. So everything, where something is supposed to be is exactly where it goes. It's not going to be colliding or running into something else. Everything's going to be structurally sound, and everything's going to be to specification. So when it gets on site, it can be put together with the right pieces in the right order. And that is cuts down on time. Time is one of the biggest things for your clients and for developers, is they are going to outlay. I'm not a big finance guy, so other people have to really talk about the finance piece. But if they're doing initial outlay to get the structure started and in place, they'll have to make their final payments once the structure is ready to go. The less time that they have with that site being worked on and empty, they can already have the structure filled either with renters or leasers, whatever the property is. The sooner they're going to be able to pay, and that's definitely a cost, a benefit for going modular. And also, there's a thing called structural steel. A lot of you know about that. We do a lot of structural steel, and that is similar, though it's not built out with electrical and plumbing and everything already designed into the structure. But that's where modular can really be of a benefit to your clients, developers, in both traditional commercial warehousing, stores, retail
Churches.
locations, churches,
Yeah.
and affordable housing, and even beyond. Don't limit it to just affordable housing. It could be very high end housing as a modular option, and still, we get up there into I believe it's the Class A, if that is something that a developer is looking for.
Yeah.
I'll let you
You know,
guys worry about that.
you bring the developer from the perspective of the developer. So the project, one of the projects you're working on, there's a developer involved here in Alabama, but he's not the builder, he's not the contractor, he's the developer. And we put it in your hands as a general contractor, and you don't have people all over the country. You don't have people sitting in an office or sitting at a job site on your payroll ready to move forward with these projects. For the sake of some of us who don't quite understand the development world or the general contracting world, can you basically list out or describe briefly, if you were bringing a corporate headquarters here and it's all modular, what is necessary from a labor standpoint here locally, or how do you operate in that world? What's a usual process? Is that too much?
No, I'm just trying to make sure that I break it down in a way. I'm sure a fair amount know what general contractors do and how they generally work, but we'll do kind of broad strokes. What we love to do is what's called design build. So we come in right at the beginning to help the developer or the management team, whoever is wanting to have the structure built. And what we bring is there are some general contractors that do have verticals within them that have their own architects, that have their own engineers and things like that. We utilize a wide network of contacts throughout the United States and actually now even in the worldwide with particular disciplines for that particular area. So in the case of Alabama, we're utilizing architects and engineers to look into facilitate some of these projects, get them going. We can do all of the geeky construction speak with the architects and work with the owners or the developer to determine exactly what it is they want within the cost parameters. That's one of the big ones. People like having, big shiny objects, but once they see the build and they need to start kind of adjusting, and we can help with that. We walk everybody through that. With the engineers, we get them locally. They know what the region deals with in terms of weather and temperature and seismic and cultural and things like that that are going to affect the structure stability. We also with some of the finance companies to go in or banks and try to educate when there's a question, especially when it's like modular or something as the new that they may not be ready for. So we spend a fair amount of time educating as well. Once it comes time for the actual construction, we are the ones that will deal with all the pains of getting the particular disciplines. If it's a conventional construction, everything from the excuse me, the prepping of the companies that will be doing the land, the infrastructure, the utilities, the foundations, the actual structure itself, finishing work and things like that. With modular, we can do that all with our manufacturers, and we take care of the land, we take care of the foundations, and in coordination with getting the structures on site, getting them built, and then getting them turned over. So we become the representative for the owners, developers, to ensure they get what they want, that they, to manage expectations so they don't kind of go off the deep end, but also advocate for them with the architects, engineers, and other trades that are involved. So that's kind of a broad strokes of how we at Superstructures run our general contracting.
That's awesome. Thank you, Chuck. That was a good
My
three
pleasure.
minutes. That was a great 3 minutes of stuff.
Oh, look at that. I actually went 4.5.
Yeah. So, questions
It's
for
to be
Chuck? Anybody? Wow. Speak up.
Hi. Oh, who are you calling on?
Okay, so I got two people with bad connections. Nancy, you're in and out.
Oh, okay.
Pam, can you talk? Nope. Okay. Nancy, you want to try
Okay.
again? You're fading
I'll
in and
try.
out. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I can also,
There you go.
okay. I wanted to ask, when he said that it was earthquake proof and hurricane proof and all those, that sounds wonderful, but is there a certain limit, like how it will withstand how many miles per hour, how many Richters of earthquake? Like it can't be unlimited, right? So is there a limit and what that would be?
If I said proof, then I stand corrected. We can't proof anything. Someone will always make a bigger hurricane or a bigger shake, but we can meet and, if necessary, exceed the standards of whatever that region, municipality require. So down in, let's say, Florida, and hurricanes are a big thing, and the county, municipality, and federal government insurance companies require a standard of this. Uh, it's easy, I won't say easy. It's definitely within the realm of reasonable to that modular can meet that, if not exceed, and to the exceed to. I'm not sure what. Like I said, there's no such thing as actual proof. Um, we can keep building on and building on until we got something that's 4 foot thick with concrete backing and everything like that. That's a bit unreasonable and not very cost effective. But as I was saying, yes, we can meet with the regional requirements and local requirements in modular and structural steel for any place in the United States.
Okay. Well,
Any given,
so what I was referring to is when I build an organ, we have to withstand up to 100 miles wind, right? So that if you were to simulate the environment, that the roof doesn't get taken off, and so many Richters, it will withstand up to 4. I mean, I'm just making this up. I wasn't sure if you guys have a guideline as to, oh, the most stringent. It's probably Florida or Georgia or wherever there's hurricane and storm season, what that number is. And of course, no one can prove it. We don't know when Earth is going to shake and all of that. But in the building codes, there are, certain seismic requirements. And so I was wondering if you have that number.
depending on where it is going to be built, yes, we have access to all that. And that's what we use our engineers for, so that they can not only meet but exceed those requirements.
Right. So what those requirements are, like you probably built. So every county, every state would have their various code, right? Depending on their environment. So you said that you build to the stringent, so the highest one. So you probably have one way of building. Yes, that your modular prefab has a certain way, and I would imagine that it would exceed all of those standards. And I was wondering if you could throw out a number, and if this is, we can take this offline too. But I just wonder if you have, you know, because they sound
No, I
really
can't.
impressive. Yeah.
No, I can't throw out a number because there's just too many and it's kind of specific. But if you have, we could definitely take it offline and we can get you some information if you have questions with that. To that point as well, with the different manufacturers that we work with, you're not pigeonholed. We'll all meet the particular engineering. So let's say we're talking about wind, as you brought up. They're all going to have to meet the ability, based off of wind loading. And that's X, Y, and Z, the different, you're getting into math and the different angles, pressures, and speeds, and so on and so forth. That's why I can't give you any particulars numbers, definitely not off the top of my head. But the engineers within our engineers and also those that are within the manufacturers themselves are going to run all of those, because with pretty much everything in this world these days, you get a warranty along with it. I'm not going to build something that's going to cause an issue with people, with insurance, number one, and that people are going to definitely stand behind the fact that we do work with several different manufacturers. If there's a particular style that that manufacturer goes with in building their structures that is not as appealing to a developer, then there's another one, generally, to go with. So it sky is almost unlimited with how you can, what kind of designs you can come up with and how to have them built, and ensuring that they meet those requirements for the region, the municipality, anything type of federal requirements. I know it doesn't completely answer your question, but if you want to if you have some like wind loading or seismic numbers in a particular area, let's meet offline and I will work on getting those for you.
Okay. Yeah. And so you own all 4 of them. all four manufacturings, or you are a broker that goes to to have it built based on the client's designs?
Broker would be a better way to say it, sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll reach out to
Mhm.
you later. Thank you.
Just for clarity, if you have a project, whatever the spot of that piece of dirt on the planet dictates when it comes to codes or anything you're asking about, Nancy, the engineers of that spot will have all that information at some point, and they get with superstructure if they're the general contractor, and superstructure gets with the manufacturers across the globe of the products that are available, and whatever the owner of that spot on the earth wants built there gets with superstructure and all the players involved. They're basically like the project manager. Then that determines what it is that's going to get built there. So it doesn't matter what the wind speed is, that's already been known. I mean, that's been discovered before anything gets built. And so
No, I
there's no
understand.
standard building. There's no standard building of any kind.
Well, I was using the International Building Code kind of as a reference, but
Right.
it's
And
okay. Yeah.
I've learned from the past, a lot of these manufacturers around the globe outside of the US actually build above the standards that we have in the US. I've learned that before too, believe it or not.
Some
They're
do, yes.
ahead of what we need here in the US. So
There are some instances of that. And when also, if as one of the things that we do, if we do find a particular manufacturer that meets your needs better than anybody else, but they're outside the country, they generally know the US codes as well as international codes. But if you're building overseas, let's say Dubai or Malaysia or Guam, which is actually a territory, not a state, there are different building codes where they will actually prefer that we don't follow some of the building codes of the US, where they can use materials that are better suited than what we've traditionally used in the US. Our building code is good in the US, and the materials, most of the things that we do are really good, but sometimes we are a little stuck in our, it's always worked. We're not really up on wanting to update or change it. Whereas in some of the world, they're a little bit more open to, let's try this and try that. But these companies that we deal with, if you'll say we're going to build something in Abu Dhabi, Abu Dhabi will say, you can use these materials, and these are tested materials throughout, recognized facilities, though they may not be acceptable in the US. They are very highly regarded and used around, and so that might be of benefit. And that's one of the things that we do, is ensure that we're using the best products, the best manufacturers for the location that the structures are being built in. So
right.
that's part of our job as a general contractor.
Cool. All right. Any other questions for Chuck or the world of superstructures? Nobody? Okay.
I have one. In the construction of the walls or the modular components, is aluminum ever used? You mentioned steel, but does aluminum, do they use aluminum framework for corrosion purposes?
That's specifically a Rick question. I apologize if he's not here. I believe so, especially with when we're doing the stud work on the inside, the interior of the walls, to create a lighter structure. Generally going to keep steel on the outside for its rigidity, its longevity. Um, I'll get you a clear answer on that. But yes, aluminum is used throughout the structures, like I said, for because let's say aluminum studs for interior walls and things of that nature. They're lightweight, relatively inexpensive compared to timber. You don't have a lot of the issues that you do with timber and things like that. So yes, componentry is of uh, um, aluminum, but also in some situations we have to be careful. I don't think there's a major issue, but something to pay attention to. Different metals together have potential for electrolysis. That's already been worked out, but I'll get you a better answer on that, Dan. And but yeah, I mean, they use the best materials for whatever particular project needs, and that's one of the cool things about modular, like conventional construction. You're building, to the needs of the design to the developer, what their expectations, what their requirements are for, balancing the monies and, the desired product so that it produces money in the future, has longevity, you're not spending a lot of money maintaining it. And if in the future you want to, at least what a proper term, resale value, or you get a higher market capture than you do, than off the conventional.
All right.
That only partially answers your question, but I'll get you back with the aluminum.
Thanks.
And for those of you joining us in Nashville this Friday, you get an opportunity to see Rick and Chuck in person, ask lots of questions. They'll be one of our presenters as well. Are you guys staying over Friday night?
Yes.
Oh, great. So they'll be there all night Friday night for any of you that are going to stay overnight. So any other questions for Chuck, or Chuck, you got any questions for these people? Chuck's here every week.
I'll be looking forward to meeting all of you this Friday in person.
All right. Okay. All right. So at this point of the meeting, we got a few more minutes for the recording purposes. Anybody here today? I see we got a few business brokers here. And we've got, business brokers and, CRE folks, commercial real estate brokers. Anybody got anything you bring up with us, something exciting that occurred or you want us to know about? Anything you learned that you think nobody else knows? And you might want to tell the world about it, whatever. What you got? What you got going on? How can we help you? Nobody needs help, huh? Either that or we just don't know how we need help. Is that how it goes? I've seen that before. I've been like that. As a matter of fact, Eric, my last 4 days, I've enjoyed taking a little vacation in North Georgia. I even stopped by a few wineries while I was doing that. And, just to try to, hey, you're muted still, just to try to promote the winery that Eric and I are trying to sell in North Georgia. So
I was just telling you and Nancy ought to just go ahead and move here.
you're going to tell Nancy and I just go ahead and move there?
Might as well. You're here every weekend.
Well,
they just moved. They just moved to their new place. They don't want to move again.
Yeah, we just moved a month ago.
Yeah, I'll see you Thursday night and Friday.
There you go, in Nashville.
Yeah, I registered 3 tickets for only 2. I don't know how I did that, but I'll tell you about it later.
Well,
So
just call Paul. He could change it for you.
I put an extra 25 in the kit for everybody.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
For those of you that are watching this recording or who are here right now, you got anybody out there in this part of the country you've been talking to, send them. They'll be fascinated with the people they meet and with what they learn just hanging out with us for the day. It will help a lot in whatever efforts they're trying to get answers for, along with whatever questions you're trying to get answered from them, as far as talking about EXP commercial in the future. So we're there for you. This is also open for all those residential people out there that are exploring commercial. Come check us out. So that's my advertising on this recording. Anybody else got anything exciting happening or any events we need to know about ahead of time? Or Tom's official now, so he actually has an official EXP commercial email address. It's actually thomas.crumpton, right? At expcommercial.com. Thank you, Eric and Tom, for being here today. Yes, Tom. Hey,
yeah, I'm official. That email works. I'm bombarded right now with all kinds of stuff. Today, I'm thinking I'm catching up, and it says, "Welcome to Value Builder." There's a whole new box I got to open and go into. So,
well, okay, if you want to open up a bunch of stuff and explore, and I'll just advertise that here on the recording. Workplace. That is what I call our intranet of our companies. It's our internal communications network that you can do voice, video, and data on with anybody inside our companies that are inside the EXP World Holdings umbrella. And when I joined this company, actually when I started it, I guess, almost 4 years ago, one of the biggest things that stood out before I signed the papers was the fact that there were 38,000 residential agents who probably were referring their commercial clients to other companies And now they can refer to us. And that's why I came. That was the first thing. That's the first thing on top of my mind. Second thing was to start a brand new company, be there at the very beginning, which is fantastic. And I've seen it evolve over the last almost 4 years. It's been 3 years, 10 months. It's been evolving. But I'm going to say if you decide you need to want to start marketing yourself in business brokerage or in commercial real estate brokerage, get on Workplace. Put in keywords, find those pages. You'll see that there could be thousands of members of those pages. You got to watch that stuff every day. You will get potential business every day if you get in there, start looking for it. Meet that way, number one. And then when you go to EXPCon, you get to meet a lot of these hundreds of them, and they're going to walk up to you and say, Tom, Eric, man, I've seen you there all the time. It is finally great to meet you. I know all about you, and you two are going to look at them and say, oh, who are you? That's what's going to happen. I mean, it happened to me multiple times, and it will continue that way. I mean, you get yourself out there because they need you. Their clients need you, and they love you. That's what I try to tell all of you on this.
It's on top of my list. Eric Clark has told me, get on there. So now that I'm official, I'm getting things rolling. So
okay. Yep. Yep. Hey, feel free to pull up my profile. I think I'm part of 250 pages right now. Join some of those pages that I'm on. If you get lazy, you don't want to go research stuff of your own. Eric, how's it going for you? Eric Bashford. Eric Bashford. Sorry, Eric, we got two Erics here now.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. You started talking to Eric first. I was like, "Oh, hey, he's talking to me."
Yeah.
Nope, wrong Eric. Things are doing well. You know,
Yeah.
still getting used to the EXP commercial.
Hey,
But
Dan Klatt has something interesting. I never did follow up to finally get a final out of all of that, but Dan actually was at EXPCon. That was EXPCon, right? You were working a booth, or was that that was EXPCon, right? Okay.
Yes.
Working a booth every day, and you actually had a guy come up to you and said, I need to name you as my sponsor. You remember that? Because he just showed up as a visitor, didn't really have a sponsor or anything. Started talking commercial. Did that ever pan out? I'm just curious.
I don't think he named me as a sponsor because I never heard.
Oh,
I would have heard something. But
okay.
that was amazing. He bought a ticket, but he wasn't part of EXP, and he
Right.
was checking it out.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I've got 3 more minutes for the recording. Anybody else got any questions? Need help? Is anybody sitting on the fence when it comes to the idea of like investing in yourself and actually showing up at our worldwide meetings that we have once a year, or some of these other regional meetings that pop up now? Anybody sitting on the fence there? Want some pros or cons on why you should be there? Okay. In the recording world, does anybody here want to give out any pros of why they should be there? No matter what, they could be in success lending, they could be in success spaces, they can be in EXP Realty, they could be in uh, EXP Commercial, they could be EXP. We've been calling it global, but I
yeah,
believe the name is going to be international. Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Keith, I've been to a number of them, and each one I've networked with a lot of agents. I've made friends in, different states. It's a great opportunity to learn from different agents. The breakout sessions are amazing. Um, every time I walk away from a build event or EXP Con, you just learn so much. Plus the networking opportunities, the sidebars, the opportunities just to rub elbows with, leadership is really just an opportunity it's you wouldn't expect from another company, but it's just great, you're sitting in a restaurant and there's Glenn or someone else. It's just really truly an amazing opportunity to talk with the top performers. And
Yep.
if you have an opportunity, go for it. It really is, I'm limited because I take care of my kids during the school year. So like October time frame, it just doesn't work for me. So I did the June one, was it last year or 2 years ago? I did the build this past year. It was funny, just I was
Eric,
meeting
Eric,
agent.
where are you located?
I'm in Delaware.
Delaware. There you go. That's right. He's
So
our, yeah.
we had a Northeast Build conference in New
Yep.
Jersey.
Yep.
And I went to that, and I met more Delaware agents at that New Jersey conference than I did networking anywhere else. But it was great for me as a commercial agent, networking with residential real estate agents to get my name out there as a commercial agent as well. And I picked up a couple of new clients just because they knew I was commercial.
That's fantastic. I got to tell you, so we started this company November 2020, as far as licensees being part of the company. November 2020. EXPCon of 2021, if I remember correctly, I'm sitting there with several people from EXP Commercial, some of our original leaders or whatever. And there's a fellow that was with EXP Realty, and he walked up because we're all talking EXP, and he came up and I said, "Hey, we're we're EXP Commercial. We're not EXP Realty. We are your new commercial brokerage." And he just stopped for a second and stared at all of us and said, "Oh my God, I wish I knew that yesterday." But now he knows because we were there, right? And he said he just gave away a multi-million-dollar client to somebody completely different commercial company to help them sell their business, which was a major marina on the East Coast. Yeah, business and property on the East Coast. He gave it away to somebody he's been referring to in commercial in other companies. So that's always been the critical reason why we need to be at those major meetings, so that we all, including them with the clients and their stock, benefit from all of us keeping the business within EXP World Holdings, just like we have EXP Global, which is changing their name to EXP International, I believe. That's what Sean was saying, wasn't he? A few weeks ago, he said on one of the meetings. Anyway, so I ask all of you, if you're east of the Mississippi or if you have direct flights to Miami and they're cheap from wherever you are, get on that plane and join us down there and invest in yourself. It's like 900 or $1,000. Be there, plus hotel, plus feed yourself. That's worth it. I promise you, it's
It'll
worth it.
pay for itself. I guarantee you,
It
it'll
will.
pay for itself.
Anybody else got any comments, pros, cons? Okay, I'm going to turn off recording. Okay. Here we go. Hey, and thank you all for coming. Today is September 9th, 2024. And reach out to whoever you see on this meeting today as you watch this, or reach out to me and I'll try to connect you. And we'll see you again each week.
Hey, Keith,
Clark.
one plug would be for the November 14th 4-year event.
Oh, yeah. So I said the first week of November we got started. We're going to miss that first week of November this year because all of us will be just coming back from EXPCon. So Eric and I are hosting our IRL in this part of the country on November 14th in Atlanta. That's a Thursday. Okay. So put that on your schedule if you want to. This is all on recording. Good. And that reminds me, one other event, Brad Ruth. Some of you know Brad Ruth from business brokerage side. And he also does a lot of posting on Workplace. He's up in the Cleveland, Ohio area. He is now starting to set up meetings in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and he's going to draw people from Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, maybe Michigan, and Indiana. And he's setting up a different format of meetings. And the first one's going to be up there kind of before EXPCon, like in the middle of October. He's thinking like the weekend after Columbus Day, maybe. He hasn't told me yet. Call me on that. So love for all of you around the country. If you're in other places where nothing like this is going on, we'll be happy to help you. I told him I'd love to come out there to this meeting and check that out. And, you could ask us about speakers and whatever else to get these going, because there's enough of us here who've done this enough times. We can help you out, as far as how to get it rolling. So anyway, anything else? I hit the recording. Here we go.